from rural areas get recognition if they perform well. This is something which gave them an opportunity to make the areas more better. Opportunity.
I mean, it's a good question. I'm not sure whether we're robbing them of the opportunity, but I think we do definitely need to make sure that our policies, and when we change these policies, they aren't urban-centric. They aren't, largely focused on an urban population, because much of India still lives away from Delhi and Bombay and Calcutta. So whether this kind of an open book exam is A, implementable in rural India, and B, whether it's something which students unfortunately, to look at examinations in this much uncertainty, if your site throw out facts at the drop of a hat, then that kind of is reflective of the kind of education system that you have in school. So it's a very gradual. So if you're seen to recognize people who can throw out facts rather than people who can really not know any facts, would be able to solve problems, then I'm not sure whether the aspirations of parents will be met and families will be met across in terms of what you
kind of have board exams, performance pressure. When we talk about education, we have to keep in mind also the kind of involvement parents have in this education sector.
But we cannot have one for rural areas, one for urban areas.
But it's never policies are urban centric. I was thinking
it's quite broken. We have to get process here. Whole India lives in rural.
I think that is going to be the more we move towards. That's part of the reason why rote learning is so inbuilt into our system.
You have classrooms of sizes 100, 120.
So it's the only way a teacher can manage that kind of a class is if she gives an assignment, learn up 100 numbers and come back tomorrow. True. If she has to individually pay attention to those 100 kids, it's impossible. So that's one of the challenges the CC is grappling with, and it will become even more compounded.
In fact, I have figures which says that 27% of India's districts have less than one secondary school for every 1,000 youth aged between 15 to 19 years. So you don't even have good number of secondary schools. Forget about imparting secondary education. And then you have challenges of gender gap, urban-rural gap, uneven distribution of school infrastructure and lack of trained teachers. So these are areas which are. So are we just looking at the end product? We don't really know how we'll move towards this. We're not focusing on the process. We're just thinking about bringing in something. We don't know how this will be implemented.
And again, at the cost of being unpopular, I'll say this that I think we need to be not urban centric. We need to remember that unlike that when we compare ourselves through tests like the PISA and others, we need to also look at where we stand in terms of the evolution of our education system compared to many other countries. If you look even today at much of the developed world, which we otherwise like to emulate, most of their good schooling is public sector schooling. Even in the United States, even in Britain, in any of these countries. India is probably one of the few countries where most of the top schools in a city are private schools.
More than 50% of the secondary
More than 50%.
Are private schools. I mean, Professor Tilak or
and
me,
unaffordable.
All of us, if we were living in New York, given our incomes, all of us would be sending our kids to public schools. By public schools, I mean government schools. Not to private schools, which is what we would probably be ending up doing in Delhi.
So in a way, what we actually take from the West is basically what suits our interest. We forget that even if we try and take in this particular thing, that public sector schools are doing amazingly well in other countries, we might actually improve our standards also.
In fact, most of the school systems everywhere in most countries of the world is highly public. Very, very few private schools. And no private schools at all in elementary education, and a very small number of private schools in secondary education. Ours is a system which is more privatized than many other systems of the world with respect to education in general and including secondary education.
Is this also because we think anything and everything that is private is good?
No, I think it's also...
That's also the belief that's being increasingly being argued by some people, saying that private is good and public is inefficient and bad. Which is really wrong.
But where the government is going wrong, as far as money is concerned, the government is paying good money to the teachers who are actually going in these schools. Where the government is going wrong?
You refer to the accessibility. The accessibility to secondary education, accessibility to public secondary education system is extremely low in the country. So people and the good quality educational institutions is much lower. So obviously there are different kinds of problems. People who can afford would like to go to better quality institutions. And better quality is also unfortunately being treated equivalent to high cost schools. So you pay high fees and you think that you are going to a good quality school, etc.
And also the challenge of hiring teachers, because in many states they take teachers, para teachers on
aspect of education has looked into it, and that has really helped the children. Yes, there's an added responsibility on teachers now to be regular, to have a complete monitoring on the children. So it becomes it's a continuous process.
And do you feel teachers today are well equipped to actually take this challenge, and they are honed to actually bring in and assess students at this level, especially when we know that the class size is so huge?
No, it's not like that at all. Teachers of the private sectors are not actually much prone to the NCERT workshops or the SCERT who does the workshop, the government schools. But the private schools are into more of the private workshops. They are also into trainings. And they go to CBSE workshops where they are time to time guided. And CBSE also sends in their circular, their suggestions.
Okay, and so you are highly appreciative of this move, and you think it is indeed a welcome move, and it should be done, and it will actually encourage students to a great extent and take them away from rote learning. Thanks very much, Ms. Mehrotra, for joining us in this program. And it's now time for us to take a short break. Next, when we come back in our panel segment, we'll ask our panelists more on this issue. Stay tuned. Now we are asking our panelists how they see and how they rate the current state of secondary education in our country, and also the performance of CCE so far. Coming to you, Professor Tilak, World Bank earlier had said that secondary education is forgotten middle in India, and we haven't really invested much in this, and that's where primary, secondary, and then higher education, most of the students, we see a high dropout rate also in secondary education. Your comments?
In fact, now even before the World Bank has stated, it was realized that we have neglected secondary education for a very long period, particularly from the second 5-year plan to very recently with some practice some education, 3 months for education, students food, private education. We all targets of enrollment. So you need to spend some qualitative and also in terms of
the country. Right, so very radical. What do you think?
Even with the open book assessment, I think what Professor Matthew has stated is you have to experiment it first in a few places, rather than taking it at the national level. And as I said, if it is at the national level introduced all of a sudden, it can produce really very serious results. So you have to experiment and see the effectiveness and how we will be able to implement it.
Do you think our policy planning really works in this way? First you experiment, then you implement, and means
you have to do some pilot projects. You do some pilot projects. As I said, you don't have to do necessarily in grade 10 replacing the board examination. You do it in grade 8, grade 9, grade 10 before the examinations also.
Okay, so you're saying don't do it in major board exams, but start it at a much lower level in class 8, in class 9, and see how it works.
And I think the challenge is for us as a society to move towards more evidence-based policy making. I mean, you're right. That has historically not been the way we've dealt with policies, especially in sectors like education, which is a major reason why we have the problems that we do today.
We are known for having the best policy makers in the world, but worst policy implementers in the world.
No, but that's largely, again, I mean, you look at the way any of our recent education policies have been made. They're all based on fantastic ideas which are undeniably necessary, but the actual nitty-gritty details of how to implement them and what roadmap to follow is so much dependent and should be dependent on hard facts on the ground. But if you don't actually bother to find out what those hard facts on the ground are, if you don't actually bother to do the hard work of carrying out a 2-year-old pilot study or a research or which you leave to independent researchers to do, to actually find out what the problems genuinely are, so that we
Right,
don't later
but
on
at
turn
this
out.
stage, my biggest fear is, do you feel the teachers are equipped to impart this kind of a learning? In a government school, the challenge is that teachers don't even go to the classes to take classes. How far can they actually get into
That's
CC?
what Professor Ramamachi also said. You have to make them ready really.
And I think this is again a vicious cycle. See, why do teachers not go to school in government, thrown at government school teachers? It doesn't affect performance. The government
There's no forms of
there's no incentive. There's no incentive to they're going to get paid in any case. But I think that's only one element of it, and I think not necessarily the most important element of it. I think there are a lot of other reasons why teachers there is this whole element of making teaching exciting as well, and making learning exciting. As we've all been talking about, it will take time. But that is beside the reason not set your mission goals as your deadline to be a whole set of things which are necessary, but which will take time. Which unfortunately, because of the nature of education and policy, take time. And you must remember that why it's important to take time over these things and go gradually with these things and through data and hard evidence is because the results of what we actually do with this are not going to be seen by the government today, not by any of us. They're going to be seen by a generation 10 years later, when none of us may be here discussing what we're talking about now. So I think we owe it to that generation that we think about it seriously and do it properly rather than just rushing ahead with something.
But are we thinking on this seriously? Because there are students who have passed out, maybe 10 years ago, as I was asking Professor Tilak, and they are largely students when they go for higher education to different universities abroad. It is always said that they perform very well because in the education system, being strenuous curriculum, and that's why hardworking field will hamper students look at study.
I think that's true. That we are writing it's true that Indian students abroad do better, but also the better Indians are the ones going abroad. So separation between two. There has national sense in Indian education. Focus on mathematical sciences is, I think it would be good to cast the search for actually strengthening them. One of the major disappointments for Indian education has been repeated studies and surveys, including the PISA which have shown that that is indeed, I think, those are some of the we need to do because I'm not sure that address either.
So I'm saying just bringing in, instead of bringing in radical step, what is also important is work on areas where you try to bring risk in nature that has all the the government says and see all forms of see also the second education at middle and also the way government is investing in secondary education. Will also speak to one of the principals of a leading school in Delhi and ask what think of secondary education. Time now.